You can't say they sold out. They bought in. They're going to get a direct benefit from their association with Trump, and they don't need anybody else. Snoop or Nelly or Rick Ross or Soulja Boy can say that same thing. And stop telling me, well, they can do what they want.
First of all, Nelly, congratulations for that 1.5 million you got for that show.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck one of you Uncle Tom for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it first? I was the one that performs for himself.
Imagine this. What if the biggest ethical argument in hip-hop wasn't about a loyalty or betrayal, but about a 7-figure check? It's not a hypothetical. This is the story of Nelly, a stage, and the politician who paid the alleged price of a moral sellout. When Nelly took the stage at the Inaugural Liberty Ball, he swore it was about respecting the office. A lofty defense. But a rival rapper, Trick Daddy, immediately shot that down, claiming the price tag was closer to $1.5 million. And that's where the comedian D.L. Hughley stepped in. Hughley didn't care about the music. He cared about the cultural cost of the gig. Because for him, this wasn't just Nelly making money. It was a famous black artist validating a machine that was actively erasing history and tearing down the community that built him. And that, in the eyes of Hughley, was a debt that could never be repaid.
Does Nelly come back to St. Louis and visit?
Come on, man. He always in St. Louis, but only at the casino. That's where he lose all his money at. And then he go down there on the dub and get his coat.
The moment the news dropped that Nelly was performing at the Trump inauguration event, the internet went nuclear. It wasn't just a political choice, it was a cultural flashpoint. The backlash was immediate and brutal. But Nelly's defense? It was ready. He didn't blink. He said he wasn't doing this for money, even though most inauguration performers don't get paid beyond expenses, a fact that already raised eyebrows. Nelly stood firm on the idea that he was doing it because he had respect for the office of the presidency. Think about that for a second. He equated his performance, his 2 or 3 songs on a stage, to the sacrifice of men and women in the military. If they can put their life on the line for whoever's in office, he said, I can damn sure perform. That was the foundation of his justification, a defense that completely sidestepped the actual policy debate. Then, to try and really drive the point home, he tried to use his own family as a shield. Nelly started citing his marriage to a black woman and his black children as proof that he wasn't betraying his people. It was a full-court press defense against what he saw as a moral attack. But that whole narrative, it was about to get dismantled by one simple, specific number.
This isn't a campaign. This isn't the RNC. I'm not out on the political campaign. I didn't get none of that 1.5.
Because while Nelly was selling respect, a voice from his own world, Trick Daddy, was selling reality. And get this, Trick Daddy, who actually defended Nelly's choice, made one crucial slip on his radio show. He let the alleged real price of that respect drop. First of all, Nelly, congratulations on that $1.5 million you got for that show. One sentence. That's all it took. Trick Daddy put the money on the table, shifting the entire moral equation from integrity to transaction. He wasn't even trying to hide it. Trick Daddy argued this wasn't personal, it was just business. If my worst enemy booked me to do a concert, I'm going to do that concert, he remarked. Think about that for a second. While Nelly was out here comparing his performance to military service, Trick Daddy was reducing it to a cold, hard payday, congratulating his friend on the $1.5 million check. The silence from Nelly's camp on that specific figure? It spoke volumes. The debate was now framed. This wasn't an act of political respect. It was allegedly a gig for over 7 figures. And the internet exploded again. The response was split 3 ways, a classic multi-voice narrative. Some fans defended him. People in their feelings when these artists making a check, one commenter wrote, the check that a lot of complainers can't match, so hate on. That was the first group, the opportunists. The second group were the moralists. So sell your soul to highest bidder, ? Someone else wrote. People who have no moral integrity will sell you out. They felt betrayed. But the third group, they stayed quiet, watching the culture war play out. because they knew the difference between a high-paying gig and a calculated political alignment. And that's exactly why DL Hughley stepped in. Hughley saw the whole thing not as a business decision, but as a moral compromise with tangible consequences. He didn't even dwell on the money. He focused entirely on the policies, the real cost of Nelly's endorsement.
Does Nelly come back to St. Louis and visit?
Come on, gang. He always said Louis, but only at the casino. That's where he lose all his money at. And then he go down there on the dub and get his right? And he go over there on Shreve and get his perks. And then he go down there and get his X. He be at all the dope spots just getting and shit. Well, not so but he always get it on credit. Like he still don't get no money for that. That's like everything he get off his love, off because he Nelly. That's what I'm don't know he up yet. That's what I want. But he need to give me my 50 million. That's what I'm. You saw he get caught with the X, so you know I ain't cap. You saw that. Yeah, he go in St. Louis, get his little drugs and go there and lose all his money to the casino. Right? That's what my 50 million at. My 50 million down in that casino. Stop playing on me. Stop playing on me. Down, baby. Stop playing.
So Nelly spends all his money. Spent all his money. How are you gonna get your money from him if he's broke?
Casino. I want the Masters game. You don't get it. It ain't about the money. I want the Masters. I want what's mine. See, he ain't gonna be able to pay me. His card gonna decline, and when his card decline, the Masters is mine. Stop playing with me. I want the house. I want everything. I want Ashanti, gang. Ashanti look good on me. Stop playing with me. How you think Ashanti and his son will look on me?
Hughley flipped Nelly's defense on its head. He argued that personal relationships, Nelly's black family, for instance, don't suddenly negate the damage caused by the policies of the administration he performed for. And then he got specific. He started listing the damage, the job losses that disproportionately hit Black Americans, the removal of Harriet Tubman from the $20 bill, that symbolic punch to Black history. But the core of his critique was political architecture. He wasn't talking about personality. He was talking about legislation. He wasn't talking about a feeling. He was talking about an erosion. This was Hughley zooming out, connecting one rapper's controversial gig to the massive cultural trend of policy decisions affecting millions of people. The entire narrative changed from a debate about a paycheck to a challenge over political accountability. Hughley was essentially saying, you took the money, but your community is paying the price. This is what makes the story hit different. He wasn't accusing Nelly of simply chasing a bag. He was accusing him of ignoring the consequences of that chase. Nelly's subsequent defense, the one where he used his family as justification, felt weaker than ever in the face of Hughley's policy analysis. Hughley argued that citing a Black wife and Black children doesn't excuse a man from overlooking the very policies that are actively undermining his family's economic future and eroding their history. The comedian went straight for the hypocrisy. He challenged Nelly's claim of respect for the office, pointing out that the politician in question had often shown immense disrespect for veterans and had taken divisive actions. This is the complexity of empathy without excuse. We can understand Nelly's drive, that a $1.5 million check is life-changing money, a business opportunity that's hard to pass up. That pressure is real. But Hughley's point was firm. Understanding the pressure doesn't justify ignoring the political wreckage. Both things are true at the same time. The gig was financially brilliant, and yet it carried a massive cultural debt with it. The former doesn't excuse the latter. That's the core tension. Hughley acknowledged the artist's right to make choices, but he called out the massive disconnect between that personal choice and the wider consequences on Black lives during that political era. Nelly wasn't just performing for a stage. He was performing for a platform. And for Hughley, that platform was being used against his own people. In the end, this saga strips down the transactional nature of celebrity in politics. Nelly took the stage, he earned a massive check, allegedly, and defended his move as respect for the presidential office. But the controversy wasn't about the money itself. It was about what the money bought, the silence and validation of an artist with cultural capital. Hughley saw a 7-figure check used to wash away a political debt, and he refused to let the transaction go unexamined. This whole event stands as a stark reminder of the tension between Black artists, immense wealth, and the non-negotiable responsibility to the community that made them icons. When you zoom out, the Nelly/Hughley conflict is about the cost of freedom. Nelly believed his status and wealth bought him the freedom to choose any gig. Hughley believed that freedom vanished the moment that gig threatened the fundamental rights and cultural progress of the collective. The debt wasn't the $1.5 million. That was the payment. The debt was the cultural capital Nelly spent that night. And now, years later, we're still left wondering, in the new era of celebrity politics, how much is the soul of an artist worth? And who exactly gets to decide the price? Chew on that.